Всем привет. Я
Hello, everybody.
более 5
I'm Stanislav Natalov.
и на данный
I'm
момент
doing software development for more than 5 years, and I'm the front-end lead for Custom App.
концепции
This is a company that merges the concepts of studio and a startup.
начиная от
I created more than 10 projects during my career, starting from logistics and delivery and up to blockchain.
сегодня рассказать
One of the last projects I want to talk about is a file market.
шифрованных
It's a
файлов.
platform to
Вообще хочу сначала
transfer encrypted files.
пойдет речь.
So first of all, let me tell you what we will be talking about.
Вообще
Some technical details and conceptual solution for the task that we had to counter.
нужно
The
безопасно
task was
скрытые файлы
to safely transfer
блокчейн.
the hidden files through the open blockchain.
В многих местах, начиная с рынка контента,
This has applications everywhere, starting from content market,
аудио и
electronic books, audio, video, and other things.
сфера намного шире.
But
Сфера
not only that,
может затронуть креаторов, может
it can be about creators,
блокчейн
can
разработчиков,
be about the blockchain or developer, can
которые
be about 3D modeling,
в принципе,
creating 3D model.
есть какая-то
And
информация, которую можно
this can be applied everywhere where you have some information that you can sell.
было обойтись.
So why do we need blockchain here?
Ну, ответ
Why couldn't we do without it?
ценная
The
информация.
answer is that the valuable information requires specific approach. We cannot just rely on
Что стороны сделки будут
no
выполнять
one
обязательства. Продавец будет передавать,
cheating. We just need to ensure that the
что
seller will transfer the file, that the
обычно прибегает к помощи
purchaser, the customer, will
информации.
send the money. Usually it's done for third parties, but if the information is valuable, we don't want to trust this to
Давайте
the intermediaries. So,
нас обогнать
they can use it somehow.
случайным образом.
Or, alternatively, they can randomly compromise the information.
Который
For
взял
example, if they have
всю базу данных,
an employee who, for example, sends the database to open access, and we don't have our private data anymore.
блокчейн — это
And
есть
the last thing that blockchain gives us is the
магазин книг, не один
reselling market.
магазин музыки, не
No
продавать только что купленное.
bookstore or music store will allow you to sell the book you just purchased or
И
the song you just purchased.
книгами
Even though it's possible in the real world with real
без
books or
в электронном мире
music records, without blockchain in the electronic world, this does not apply. This cannot happen.
мы можем
So in blockchain, we can
ERC-20
represent the files as ERC20 smart contracts
или же NFT
or NFTs.
вместе с
In this concept,
другому владельцу
along with passing the NFT to the other owner, we send the right to read the file.
подразумевает
And this concept
читать
implies
только тот,
that reading the file can be done only by the person who owns the NFT.
обеспечить такую вообще возможность,
So here's the question. How do we implement it so that the file can be read only by the NFT owner?
все данные,
Because in the blockchain, all the data
необходимые для
open is
осуществления
open by default. This is needed for the consensus of the nodes in the network.
единой истории данных, если эта история данных не
We cannot agree about the data story if this is not
симметричным шифром.
public. So we use this symmetric encrypting. We make the seller
Залить
encrypt the file by AES
абсолютно
key, and we put it in a public store.
в доступе,
We
что
don't care that the file is in the public domain and everybody can read it.
потому что
It
прочитать
does not matter
ничего сделать
because even if you read it, you cannot do anything.
при совершении сделки продавец
And
файловый ключ
after the deal,
покупатель остается доволен.
the seller sends the key to the buyer, and the buyer has access.
К сожалению,
Sounds good, but it doesn't work.
система не
Fortunately,
проверок, а именно
the simple system does not comply to
что продавец передаст файл,
simple checks. We are not protected against
а
fraud. No one guarantees that the deal will happen, that the money will be sent and the file
необходимо более Сложное решение.
will be the right one. So we need a more complex solution.
Блокировать
We need to create a contract that will block
когда продавец
the
выполнит свои обязательства, то есть
buyer's
файла.
money till
С первой
the
части
seller
контракта все
sends the key from the file.
она легко решается.
First part is easy. It's a classic task, easy to solve.
Стандартными методами давно решена.
The standard method for this
Вторую часть этой
is this. But the question is about the second part. How do we make the
передачи
seller send the file?
и как вообще заставить смарт-контракт передать средства.
How can we make the smart contract
Передал файл.
send the money to the seller if the seller has sent the file?
Вся сделка
It's
полностью
crucially important for the deal to be happening in the blockchain because we cannot transfer the key without blockchain
покупатель его получит.
from
И
the seller to the buyer
нет, тогда
so that the
сделка, что ключевой
buyer receives it and is happy. It's impossible because the
успех.
blockchain will not understand that the key has been sent and everything is fine.
Опять
But if we send the key through the blockchain, it's very public and we can
на помощь
open the file.
асимметричной криптографии
In this case, asymmetric cryptography helps
покупатель
because we can make the
покупатель сможет
buyer generate two keys, open and close one.
в блокчейн
The buyer sends the open key to the blockchain, publicize it because there's
расшифрованные открытым ключом данные
no problem.
закрыты.
You can only decipher, decrypt the data with the closed key, and we don't send it to anyone. Then the seller reads the
Открытым ключом
open key,
получает
takes his file, encrypts it with the
блокчейн.
key, sends it back to the blockchain,
Ключ появился.
and in the blockchain, the buyer sees the key is there,
И не
decrypts it with this closed key, and no one
открытый ключ есть.
apart from the buyer can decrypt it because only the buyer has the closed key.
Доступ к файлу получает свои данные, за которые он заплатил.
And thus he gets the access to the file.
Средства
Smart contract sees that the
продавцу.
money has been sent and sends it to the seller.
Сработали. А что, если продавец захочет передать не скрытый файл,
But what if the seller wants to send not the closed file, but
что в
put
таком случае
some 0 byte encrypted? What do we do in this case?
просто? Ну, не очень просто. Нужно подрубить
Well, quite simple.
звено, нужно подрубить,
We need to add an extra
который
stage, a smart contract that will check
сделки,
the deal. And before checking the deal, we need
для того, чтобы
the
можно
seller to publish his closed key to check
ключ,
what is in the file.
файл, конечно, может быть,
It's not a problem because
может стать публичным,
the file can become public. But it's not an issue because the buyer publicizes the key
от файла только в случае, если у него ничего не получилось расшифровать.
from the file if he was not able to decrypt it, and meaning that
А если же с помощью них можно расшифровать,
nothing can be received from the data. And if something can be
ничего не испортят, потому что продавец
decrypted,
файл, и ему уже
then
все
even the published data will not hurt because the buyer will get
публиковать это все.
the file.
И вернемся к нашей третьей,
So let's
нашему
move to our third entity, our contract
сделка происходит,
that decides
файл decider, и этот файл
about the deal. We call it file decider, and
смотрит,
it looks for those situations on the blockchain.
и файл
Looks when the
пытается
publisher,
в
the buyer's key was published, and goes to the file coin,
получается, тот
tries to decrypt it, and if it all goes well, then he thinks that the deal
сделка
is executed.
средства выходит обратно
If
покупателю.
it doesn't happen, and the deal is cancelled, and the money goes back to the buyer.
Наверное, отметить важно,
Everybody happy?
такой смарт-контракт возможно
And it's important to know that this smart contract can only be implemented on a file coin,
смарт-контракт
because only this network has
состоянию файла.
smart contracts that have access to the state of the file coin that stores the files within them. So
Они же акты
only those smart contracts
файла и попытаться расшифровать.
can read those files. And
И, казалось бы, уже
only using those smart contracts, you can read those files and decrypt.
где
Looks like it's working, right? But some more questions arise. Like, where do you store the keys?
Он
For
генерируется
each file, we have the key,
где-то.
the AES key.
Нельзя,
We
чтобы
need to store them somewhere
файлы.
because
И
otherwise the files will be leaked.
на устройстве
And
можно потерять.
where would you store this?
Как-то между ними все.
Because you cannot store it on a device, you can lose it.
Потому что это то, от чего мы изначально
And
пытаемся
you cannot store it
никому
in the cloud because we want to
можно взломать. Облако
avoid this. The cloud can be
решит
decrypted and hacked. And this is not decentralized.
с помощью алгоритма,
So we will be delegating those keys
который позволяет
using HKDF algorithm
случайных
that allows using the random bytes that we call the seed
много других
to
случайных,
generate
которые мы будем использовать.
any amount of random bytes that we will use as keys to the file.
Таким образом, пользователю для восстановления доступа к всем своим
Thus, the user to get access to all his files
записать заново сид.
just to
Ничего не нужно делать.
rewrite
На другом
the
устройстве
seed.
точно такие же,
On the other device, the keys will be generated
точно такими же параметрами.
in the same order with the same parameters.
Пользователя, чтобы сид не байтами,
And additionally,
используем
for more convenience,
9 из
we use BIP39 from Bitcoin, mnemonics, 12 words
на другом устройстве, получить из них
that
сид.
you can use in the other device to get the seed and generate keys.
Но, как можно было заметить, это не единственные ключи, которые нам нужно генерировать. Еще и
But you could see that those are not only the keys we need to generate. We need to generate the RSA keys also. HKDF does not help us here.
вопрос в том, что HKDF
The
генерирует
question is that HKDF
другие,
generates from one seed
а RSA-ключ — это не случайно.
other random bytes. And RSA key is not random bytes. It's a couple of
Из случайных
simple numbers.
чисел.
So
Другой вопрос.
we need to know how to generate
Стандартизирован.
a couple of
Нельзя найти
simple numbers from
какой-то документ,
the byte. We cannot get an RFC describing this. This would work everywhere.
эта генерация является в основном частью реализации.
And this generation is the main part of our implementation.
Можно засидировать
There's another one. We can seed the generator of RSA keys.
берет
What does it mean? It means that
из
the RSA key generator reads random bytes from pseudo-random generator and uses them to generate the key.
выдавать нам,
If we make this generator
будем получать.
give us the same
Это и есть деривация.
value every time,
Исходный материал меняет
then the output will be the same key. So this is the derivation. This is how,
которые мы
if
получаем.
if you change the output,
Но тут
you
это
change the keys. But the change is always the same. But seeding
работает и не везде работает.
doesn't work everywhere and doesn't work
Сидированная
the
генерация
same everywhere. Seeded RSA key generation in
будет
Go
работать совершенно по-другому.
will work
А,
very differently,
Генерация, засидированная в C.
not the way that
Сойдутся, если вы...
seeded generation in C.
Кроме того,
The generators will give you different output.
в принципе, нет
And in many platforms,
опции.
it's even not available.
Встроенный CryptoSubtle, он не поддерживает сидирование генерации
CryptoSubtle and browser
в принципе
does not support seeding and generation of RSA key.
решения.
So
Мы
what is the solution here?
платформу,
We will try to find a platform
платформенный язык,
or a
который в
cross-platform language
максимальном количестве платформ,
that will run on the maximum amount of platforms,
не зависеть от них,
that will be not dependent on them, and we'll try to find a cryptographic library in this language
генерацию
that
ключей.
will provide deterministic generation of RSA keys. This is JavaScript plus
Опять подводный камень.
on the Forge, node Forge.
Детерминистическая, то
But the
всевозможные
obstacle here is that if the optimization is deterministic, then optimizations are turned off because we cannot use platform-dependent acceleration
генерацию
because the platform makes the generation work differently, and we cannot parallelize the
генератора.
calculations
У нас получится
because if you use the random number generator, you'll get different keys. So this is done through
медленно.
one
В изначальной реализации
thread and in native.js, and this is very slow.
порядка 20
Originally, to generate one key,
совершенно неприемлемо.
it
Поэтому
took 25 seconds, which is not acceptable. So we had to rewrite NodeForge to replace the
нативную браузерную
arithmetics with browser native arithmetic that works faster than in WebAssembly.
генерацию ключей по
And
5 раз,
we were able to speed up the keys generation
приемлемые для
by a
пользователя.
factor of 5, and this is much more acceptable for the user.
Что в
And
итоге
you can use this service.
имеем? Файл,
What do we have here?
который
We have a
представляет
market
стандарт
that
в плане,
is a standard
то есть это
protocol,
передача этих
an algorithm for transferring those files, encrypted,
смарт-контракты, которые
and smart contracts that implement this.
при передаче и владении файлом возникает необходимость
During the transfer and ownership of the file, you need to
возникает
send a lot of keys and store a lot of keys, thus creating a wallet file that derivates those keys from one mnemonic
но, в общем-то,
using NodeForge and HKDS,
и все это
and it gets all the keys we need.
позволяет
And this all
эти файлы
put in a web interface that allows to
обмениваться ими, и
attach the files and send them to Filecoin, exchange them,
с ними люди хотят.
and do whatever people want to do with them.
Идет даже mainnet testnet, вот, так сказать,
Currently, we are testing on mainnet
файлкод,
alpha test.
по
This
ссылке,
is all deployed. You can use the link
посмотрите, как это работает.
to click and see how it works.
Но это не все в целом. Возможно, это решение все еще,
This is not all.
что существует, и как бы
Maybe this is not the best solution yet, and probably there's a number of ways
активная
to
разработка
improve it. And we continue to develop the thing. We
собирает.
keep researching on what else
Но
are
идея
the usages.
это
And
попытаться
what you definitely can do is you can try to implement
Zama,
or get private smart contract from Zamo,
компания, которая занимается гомоморфным шифрованием,
company that does homomorphic encryption, and they
которые могут
invented concept of creating smart contracts that store private data,
просто хранить
keys, numbers, and
тоже там, и никакой
other
проблемы
things. Then you can just store the keys within the smart contract, and
и так далее.
there's
Вариант
much less issue.
отдельно
Other option would be to
на отдельную сеть.
separate the key storage to a separate network. You cannot, of course, let someone store the keys. You need to
Своим кусочком ничего
split them and give to everybody, and then no one can do something with
threshold network.
its piece. This is called threshold network,
Упростить систему.
and in this case, you can simplify the system, maybe
Пожертвовать
improve the UX a little bit,
threshold network
but it loses centralization because
прям полностью.
there are no threshold networks
Вот есть trust minimized,
in existence.
но они не
There
полностью.
are trust minimized systems, but they are not fully decentralized.
Proxy encryption — это когда мы подменяем
Also, proxy encryption is possible when we
шифрованные одним ключом,
substitute the keys for decrypting. We encrypt it with one key, then with the other key.
делать опять же децентрализованно, нельзя
But
доверять
this needs to be done
лицу.
in a non-centralized manner. We cannot trust someone to perform this operation. And this is pretty much it regarding the development ways. Let me answer your questions. And I'd like to also say thank you to the St. Pete blockchain community,
Спасибо.
Board Consortium, that called me here.
Вступление еще
And if you have any questions after the presentation, you can ask them in our Telegram chat. Happy to answer your question.
Большой за доклад, Короляков Юрий.
Thanks much for the presentation.
Согласно фотографии,
Yuri Kordikov, Yakasir company.
документации, я думаю, вы это понимаете. Да, вы сказали,
The compromission of the keys
в результате
can be an issue.
там
You
ПБ,
said this key appears because of the seeding, but
в случае
nevertheless, if
файла зашифровала у
the
них,
sender of the file has
можно
encrypted it in
хоть и
the wrong way, you can get
первый
the
вопрос.
key
И
that
второй,
is not directly sent to the user.
один из принципов
And
фотографии — это
the second problem is
криптография.
that one of the issues with cryptography is not to try to invent your own ways of cryptography. You said you've changed the library to
эти вопросы.
get some improvement. Can you comment on this? Because
Ну, вы что-то сделали,
first impression is that
но
you did something, you made something,
серьезной
you
проверки
did something, but it will not
Так,
pass the security checks. Okay, so let me start with the private keys.
что
The deal itself is designed in a way that the keys are generated
имитируется в случае
uniquely for each and every deal,
и
so that they are compromised if
ключу
anyone does something wrong.
из них
And second
получить исход.
is if the key is compromised, then the seed cannot be received from it, cannot be derived from
Проблему дискретных логарифмов
it. This is a one-way operation. You cannot
это довольно безопасно.
solve the discrete algorithm.
Даже обратно сам сид мы на
If we get the seed,
ключи мы используем
when we derive the closed keys, we use RSA, HKDF,
материалы, из которых мы будем потом генерировать,
derive the source material that
если у нас
we will use to get the closed key.
генерация
So if the RSA key generation is reversed,
с этим материалом нельзя
then
сделать, потому
we
что
will not be able to do something with it.
его нельзя использовать, а HKDF гарантирует, что
HKDF guarantees
таким образом точно,
that the source seed will not leak.
что мы там много всего своего напридумали.
Second question was about us
Это
designing a lot of
частично
own stuff, but it's partially true.
старались все.
We did our best not to invent any algorithms that
И для генерации мы ее сами не писали. Мы взяли генерацию из ноды Forge, потом
we took our generation from NodeForge and then simply replaced the arithmetics, all
написали
the
их, собственно, там самописные
methods that were
как-то протестировали
based on their own BigInt,
на нативный браузерный BigInt, который работает в 5-6
replaced it with our native BigInt browser that is 5 to 6 times faster. And because of that, we got
Он точно
better speed. But we did not change anything in the algorithm. It is still the same.
Но, к сожалению, пришлось, потому что нет стандарта.
Unfortunately, we had to because there's no standard.
Спасибо. У меня вопрос
Thank you.
уточнить хотелось бы по поводу
My question is, I wanted to understand about the closed key. Imagine the file was scanned,
с помощью
the
которого,
closed key was published, and we decrypted this file
как вы сказали,
from
продавцу уже не
the
важно
buyer's
ходить дальше,
side.
но,
The seller doesn't care about it, as you said, but can the actor
те же шаги, взять этот закрытый ключ, взять исходные данные не расшифрованные этого файла,
repeat those
получить
steps, take the data, decrypt the file, can get the copy of a file?
Понимаю, к обычному пайплайну, когда
I
мы
think the question is to the traditional pipeline, right?
все совсем
When nobody agrees to with anybody and everybody is happy. Okay,
алгоритм
then the file is encrypted by AES.
Алиса потом передает свой
Only Alice has the key.
вот и ключ
Alice sends the key to Bob, and
публичным
two people have the key.
открытым ключом,
But it's not public because we encrypted it with the open key.
закрытым.
To decrypt it,
В случае успешного пайплайна
you only need
вот.
the closed key, and it's not publicized.
Но
But in case of no success, it's published.
правило не те
But
некорректные данные можно
if someone sends the wrong data can be published. There's nothing wrong about it because they are not
до охранения.
valid. They have no value.
А,
So
ну,
thanks. And one more question about sending
большие
big
файлы
files.
дорого.
How expensive is it? Yeah, it is. It is expensive to encrypt them,
Достаточно.
and
Их довольно
takes a lot of resources.
особенно на блокчейне.
And of course, to decrypt them, especially on the blockchain. That is why
Временно заменили смарт
we have temporarily replaced the Filecoin smart contract to some oracle that looks at the blockchain and decrypts the file if there are any issues with the deal. But in the future, I think this will
тогда
be cheaper
говорили,
because the applicability
аудио даже файлы.
Да.
Почему
is the question. 3D model, audio files
никогда данные
on the blockchain in NFT, we don't
хранятся? Потому что дорого.
store the data because it's expensive.
Вот
если-
все
Yeah, correct.
упирается, что
This is the wall
вам придется
that
за
blocks
большие
us,
файлы,
right? So,
платить.
anyways, you will have to pay for big files
Может стать
a
меньше.
lot. Well, it can become less, and it will become less with time.
В
But for now, the
бесплатно.
files of gigabyte size are
Да, другое.
sent for free. If you need to send terabyte, then it's yeah,
Возможно, это
another question. But for most cases, it's enough. 1 gigabyte is enough. Thank you.
Еще один вопрос.
хорошо. Давайте вот вообще.
Спасибо за доклад. Вот вы,
Thank you for the presentation.
мы не можем доверять посреднику, да?
You said that we cannot trust the
Бэкэнд.
intermediary.
Бэкэнд расшифровывает, бэкэнд.
Trust backend.
Чей это бэкэнд вообще? И можем ли мы ему
Whose
доверять?
backend is the
Это
one that decrypts it?
чтобы просто запустить эту
Can
штуку.
we trust it? Well, it's a temporary thing. Just to launch this.
Предполагает, что его не будет
Theoretically, the model
на самом
suggests that it will not exist.
будущем.
Well, theoretically, one can
Is the
say
nearest future.
that this won't exist because this whole logic can be implemented in the
Стоит
smart contract. But unfortunately, no, it's too expensive. It's too expensive to de-encode the file. So it's just used as a temporary solution.
Спасибо.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Выбрать вопрос, который понравился.
You need to pick the question that you like the most. I like the most the question from this young man. Please raise your hand.
вопрос понравился.
Your
За-
question. Thank you.
Благодарю.
So thank you. Thanks.